across the country. Jyotinivas College was established in the year 1966 and offers arts, science, commerce, and management programs at both the undergraduate and postgraduate levels. The college was accredited with an A+ grade in the 4th cycle of re-accreditation by NAC in the year 2021. Jyotinivas College is a premier institution for women located in Bangalore. I thank our principal, Dr. Sister Lalita Thomas, for her constant support in all our endeavors. She is not with us today here this morning, but her best wishes are a warm welcome to Dr. Sitavi, Vice Principal, for her support and her presence here today. Today's webinar in the blended mode is the attempt of the Department of Chemistry and Biochemistry to bring together students, faculty, and researchers from across the globe to listen to 2 stimulating talks on the theme From the Lab to the Laboratory. Without further ado, I invite Dr. Sophia to introduce the first speaker who will be joining us from Coimbatore. Over to Dr. Sophia. A warm welcome to all students gathered here today, and a warm welcome to all participants who have joined us virtually also.
Everyone. It's my privilege to introduce our first speaker, Dr. Ram Kumar, who is currently working as an associate professor in the Department of Biomedical Engineering, Dr. NGP Institute of Technology, Coimbatore, Tamil Nadu. He has completed his bachelor's in Electronics and Communication Engineering and master's degree in Communication System and PhD in Wireless Sensor Networks under Anna University. His area of interest includes biomedical instrumentation, data science, artificial intelligence, sensor networks, and computer networks. He has published 5 technical books and 1 non-technical book. He has presented more than 79 papers in national and international conferences and published more than 48 papers in reputed national and international journals. He is a member of various professional bodies like Indian Society of Technical Education, ISTE, Biomedical Engineering Society of India, BMESI, School of Electrical and Electronics Engineering, SEEE, Institute of Research Engineers and Doctors, IRED. He has received numerous prestigious awards, to name a few: Best Assistant Professor Award for the category of Science and Technology, Best Academic Researcher Award from Association of Scientists, Developers and Faculties, Outstanding Research Award, and Best Teaching Faculty Award from Abdul Kalam Educational Trust. He has received grants from government funding agencies, to name a few: GST, AICTE, Skill and Personality Development Program, AICTE Pradhan Mantri Kaushal Vikas Yojana, UGC Unnat Bharat Abhiyan, Anna University grant funding agencies, etc. It goes on. He's a very notable speaker, and we are happy to have you with us, sir. Over to Dr. Ram Kumar.
Yeah. Yeah, can we start the session, ma'am?
Yes, sir. Can you share with
Yes,
us?
thank you. So, yeah, warm good morning to all the participants, and it's really a nice session to interact with you people at a great morning occasion. And first of all, my wishes and conveys to all the faculty members and the student community for the entire healthcare sector. And coming to the modern era, how the laboratory to industry. That's a major theme right now. The students needed, students required in their respective field, because without converting the laboratory to industry, it is a open-ended terminal. And as a faculty, we always make the student to enter into the sector, how it should be, how the terminology should be enter into the slide, or how it can be visible to the opponent in the terminal. That's what that we usually thinks about, we usually deals about, right? And we are here to address this type of solutions to the students community and make their projects, because you people belongs to biochemistry, and the chemical alone can make it into a drastic changes in the current scenario, and that's what proven in the recent scenario too. So let me enter into my session of modern era of healthcare industry. How it becomes a modern era. Why we are naming it as a modern era. So that's what the theme we are going to discuss about. And hope my presentation is visible, ma'am.
Yes, sir, it's visible, sir.
Yeah, thank you. So let me enter into my presentation. The modern era of healthcare industry. Why the healthcare industry gets boomed? Because it is a interdisciplinary, it is a multidisciplinary project, and any field who are developing their prototypes, who are developing their analysis, they are entering into our field and they are making their project as a society oriented, ethical oriented, analytical oriented, like that. The scenario has been started and they started developing their own solutions to the healthcare industry, because this is the only industry we are directly dealing with the society, directly we dealing with the human life, directly dealing with the life sciences. And you are the peoples in the biochemistry who can easily make the team, because you are developing for the food and nutrition, you are working for the nanoscience, you are working for the environmental health, you are doing for the pharmacology, microbiology, and all the sectors of pharmacy, dentist, nursing, medical science, everywhere dealing with the biochemistry. And that's the major theme why biochemistry is important, because even in engineering life we are training the students to develop their core subject as biochemistry, and they are studying the biochemistry as their core subjects, because that's the more important scenario right now they are dealing with, right? So we usually say this is the modern era of healthcare industry. How you can develop your modern era, how to dealing with this type of modern era. You have to start thinking about the innovation, what innovative I can give it in the biochemistry, how innovatively I can able to present in the biochemistry, what are the scenarios I can able to helpful to the society in the biochemistry. Like that it starts and it goes on, because biochemistry alone can make the system be a very similar type, which makes them to comprise. It can be in a shortened version how to eradicate their solution. And for that, you need to be more innovative. As a students community, we are in the 21st century and we have to be thinking a more uh, innovative type of solutions to the scenario. CMR. With the help of biochemical scientists only, we are providing the solution as in terms of vaccination, and a number of diseases may come and go. But we are a biochemical engineer, biochemical scientist to produce the suitable solution to the society. That's what we usually deals about. That's what we regularly start saying. Be innovative. Be innovative in all the process, not only in single term. You should be innovative in all the process. So when you will get a good ideas, how it comes from, whenever you feel bored, whenever you feel lazy, whenever you think this is not suitable for any of the people, So we have to refurnish this, then automatically your innovation starts. Suppose if you take these thousands and thousands of medicine has got expired, and those surgical mask is no one is ready to purchase, N95 mask is no one ready to utilize, then you start thinking, okay, then how can I make it is into a useful one with this type of N95 mask? Again, you plan to bring the COVID into the market? Nahi, that's not a correct thing. You should think what are the alternate solutions, what are the alternate remedial measures we can able to produce, what are the alternate remedial measures I can given to the solutions and make it into a society oriented things. Then only it can be easily achievable, it can be easily addressable to the real time society peoples, and we have to work on that, and we have to regularly upgrade the solutions on that, and that's the major scenario in each and every industry is looking for that, right? So you have to think in that way. There are n number, as we belongs to a healthcare industry sector, n number of things has been developed from the useless things only, because they might start thinking this is useless, this the period got expired and no one is ready to utilize these things, and you peoples are there to provide a solution to make the useless things into a useful things. How it started, how it going to be an ended version, how you can start from the edge. That's the importance of role of teachers to make the students how to start this from the edge, and how it can be finish it at the final version. And that's the most important scenario, how it started and how it going to get ended at the version, because there should not be any starting trouble, or there should not be any finishing level point to get ended at the view. And we are the peoples to help you to develop your solutions to the current society. You may stuck at n number of points, and we peoples are readily to address wherever you get stuck, and we peoples always make you to address how it gets started and how it can make you to address the solutions for the community people. So, what is innovation? Is it a single-ended point? It should be a multidisciplinary point. There should be some creativity, there should be some idea, and your prototype should have an inspiration to others. Okay, this is a very good innovation they have found it out, and we also peoples ready to address this type of uh, suitable solutions, and your project should be, your idea should be inspiration to all the people, and you have to develop your idea. It should not be just a eye-catching vision. It should have some prototype, it should have some process, and it should analyze the vision, and it should match the vision. If you have a vision that I am going to prepare a chemical solution as a vaccination for your corona or for your dengue or for your malaria, it should be 100% eradicate. We should not be a fake people. We should not provide a fake solutions to the people. That's the important scenario you have to think about. You should not provide a fake solutions, because we are people directly dealing with the human life, and we should be a original component, and it should not be a expired document. It will be was for 3 to 4 days. After that, it won't work. Like that, you should not share any mission to your innovations. That's a major theme you always needs to develop. And your innovation should be more creativity, more vision, and the growth of your innovation. The idea and process should be very clear, and it should be inspiration to all other peoples, whoever taken you as a senior or junior or as a role model, and similar to kind of the things. And your innovation should be easily understandable, and recognizable by the other ended peoples is the sense they are the receiver end, they are the user friendly customers to your product, and you have to develop the solutions for that, and then only you can able to visualize what the things going on, visualize what the current themes belongs to, like that. And you people never underestimate the society peoples that they won't understand our solutions, whatever solutions we can give. They won't do any type of analysis. Nowadays we are doing analysis in the year of 2020, which vaccination is best, is it the people, and they are the providers who are giving a solutions to these people that we are effectively utilized, like that the things goes on, right? Then only all the peoples are started purchasing, whether we need to go for the Covishield or a Covaxin, which is best, in which age group it is best, which is strongly recommended, what are the other country people are doing. All the analysis has been taken by the normalized people, and we are a biochemical engineers. We have to give you suitable solutions to this type of problems. So usually we are a biochemical peoples have to identify where the problem is. First, you have to identify where the problem is. After that, only you can provide a solutions to that problem. You can design a problem to that type of solution, and you can do n number of experiments with a lower age people, higher age people, with animals, with the plant species, to all these types. You can do n number of experiments, and you can do the operation, you can do the scale up, you can do the operational version, and scale up your property, scale up your productivity to design for n number of people. First you do for 3 to 4 environment, after that you can make it as 3 lakhs to 4 lakhs of people can be utilized if your solutions get successful. Don't think about the scale up at the starting process itself. How many people will purchase my solution? How many people is ready to do? Like that, you don't take any market analysis. That will be carried out by some of the MBA personalities. We are a biochemical, and we have to provide a suitable solutions alone to the industry, and they will take care of rest of the things. And we are a biochemical scientist. We always dare to be different. We can work in n number of scenarios. We might go to foreign abroad countries and do some research component. We might sit in some of the scientific laboratories and do some solutions. And whoever people dare to be different always stands tall at the innovation, and they are providing a suitable solution to their industry, to their market value, and they people are starts recognizing, okay, this is the importance of biochemical industrial scientists in the society. Always your innovations need some improvement. Without improvement, your innovations won't stand high. A person who identified the vaccination for a newborn baby, if he stops, then it won't be a modern innovation. Till date, we are using the same vaccination because they are improvising the content. You people are regularly using the mobile phone 24 cross 7. Whether any mobile industry have stopped the updates or Android application version upgraded, all the mobile application gets automatically upgraded if you turn on your Wi-Fi. Without upgradation, you won't purchase the mobile phone because regularly you need to upgrade your version. Like the similar things, we are a biochemical industrial scientist, and their potential employers will start asking you how you are upgrading your version, how you are upgrading your innovation, how important the innovation should be, how you are enhancing, how you are improvising the things. Like that, the scenario starts, and they are working for their environmental friendly nature, right? So you start thinking about A chemical engineer person or a healthcare industry gets boomed. These are the secondary ended people connecting their problem statement with the healthcare industry to make when they are clubbed together with the healthcare industry, they are interdisciplinary with the healthcare industry, then only they start grooming. Artificial intelligence and machine learning starts grooming when they are joining hands with the healthcare industry. And IoT solutions, n number of IoT is there. Yeah, capsule based IoT is there. Yeah, surgical mask IoT is there. Yeah, automatic recognized operational system robotic surgery with IoT is there. Nowadays robotic surgery has gets famous because they are doing operation with the help of IoT. A doctor in America is controlling the robots for doing the surgery. If a 0.05 value is given high by a human people, automatically your liver or some nerves gets damaged, more number of bleeding starts. But robotic won't do that type of operation. They will do a 100% pakka operation has been carried out, and they are handling the knife very properly, and they are doing the operation accurately. That's what the themes belongs to, and they are joining hands with this type of industry. No people will start thinking this will happen when they are finding some mobile phone in the year of 1980s or 1850s. The camera will be like that, or 1977, yeah, computer will be like that. This type of drastic changes will come. No people have started thinking that. No one thinking that yeah, laptop will come from a PC. No people have thinking that, but it is a solution provided by the scientists, and they are making the suitable solution to the field, and we are the peoples have to think in the year of 2050 what type of solution is required. You have to work for that. In the year of 2030 what type of solution is required, it might get boomed. So we have to improvise our innovation to an improvement structure so that our field gets strengthened. You have to think in that version, and the biochemical industrial role is to develop the solution to the future end, to the future terminology. So, what are the new eyes on the healthcare? Why it is terminology we usually say the new eyes on healthcare? What the scenario will be? How importantly it will be addressed? How importantly it will be justified to the new era or the new eyes? In earlier version, they start thinking about the disease centric. Corona has came, and what we have to identify, what we have to think about, and we think about the patient centric. After that, if you apply this, what are the positivities to be taken, what are the side effects should be, that is the patient centric. Some people only think about the diseases, whereas we people think about what are the side symptoms should be. It will be applicable for a sugar patient. It will be applicable for already people some who have under the treatment like that. And they are proactive and we are reactive. Wellness versus the cureness towards the illness is the main thing. And we are treating the patient as our customer. We are sharing the decision making, because when you are doing some operation, you are sharing the decision making, right? You are more friendly, you are more customized. Yeah, is it audible?
Yes.
Hello.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I think some audio has came in between. So okay, thank you.
Yes, sir. It is audible.
Yeah, I will continue. So the new eyes on healthcare, we are treating the patient as our customer, and we are sharing all the decision. whether we need to do normal operation or cesarean. We need to keep the plate, or you go preferred for a medicine itself. You do allopathy or homeopathy. Like that, we are making the decision as a user friendly. We are suggesting to the personality, and they after their confirmation only we are entering into such type of operation. That's the healthcare sector scenario, and new eyes belongs to. So nowadays we have to convince the customer. That means convince the patient which should be the best before doing the operation, before giving the anesthesia. We have to do this type of systematic thinking, and they are searching the all the medicine, because nowadays all the operation and the medicine, the details is available in the our friendly Google. All the peoples are supported by the Google and the YouTube to the customer, and they are thinking, and we are doing the disruptive innovation from inductive to routine process, because we are making this as a routine process, and we are making the customer friendly, and we are making the things a wider one and a user friendly to the customer need. And that's the most important thing and most visualizable one, where they can able to understand how important the theme must be, how important the value should be in the new eyes of healthcare. Now coming into our modern era of healthcare industry, as this is the most important thing. When you are thinking about your product should reach the customer, there should be seven innovative things to improve your healthcare industry. One is 3D printing devices. This is the most important thing nowadays. Biomaterials and the improvisation of hydrogel or the hydrocomponent acids, how the 3D materials gets fabricated. Nowadays, green bioprinting has came, and the combination of algae and the biomedicinal waste has been comes into the picture of green bioprinting. And we are taking from the animal bones, gets eradicated, and we are providing the solutions and making the animal bones as a hydrated one. That's the importance of 3D printed devices. They are doing the commercialization of all the things like livers, tongue, stent filaments, your skull part, and nowadays they are developing the human brain as a 3D printing devices. Like that, the themes are going on. If you are you started your research, then you start working on the 3D printing, because green bioprinting is the most challenging task. And yesterday the government has signed 42% of the financial support should be given to the 3D printing projects, because this is the most important technology. And the second one is immunotherapy. Sorry, immunotherapy, because still it is a big question mark how cancer patients should be early identified. What are the symptoms we can easily give? How early detection of cancer patient? It might be a liver cancer, it might be a brain tumor, or it might be a number of conditions. Still they are dying at the stage. How effectively I can give some suitable solutions to this type of people? How early I can easily able to detect with adding some of the chemical solution or the chemical bound components, how easily I can able to identify the cancer patient to potentially increase their lifestyle value, or to the increase their lifespan of their generation. And the third one is the new generation sequencing to identify the risk population. And the fourth one is the artificial intelligence, which is booming at this highest rate nowadays. Now people have started thinking that artificial intelligence will comes like a jet speed, and it comes at that speed at the higher accuracy, because all the thinking has been given. Nowadays, if you are opening your LinkedIn, it starts saying what type of reply you need to give. If you are opening your Gmail, it starts saying what type of reply you need to give. That's artificial intelligence. And robot will suggest what type of operation will be carried out, what type of chemical solution will be added, how much percentage of value should be added to the anesthesia. This people is suffering from this type of diseases, automatically you need to do this type of operation. Like that, the artificial intelligence will comes to the role, and you start people start thinking what type of solutions you needs to give to this type of society, and this is performing at a higher speed. That's the important scenario. This is performing at a higher speed value and providing much higher accuracy. You need to provide a higher accuracy, and the utilization of resources should be very much minimal. You don't start saying for this operation you need to purchase this equipment which is higher at rate. With this equipment only you can do this type of operation. No people will ready to purchase. It should be minimal. It should be micro. Yeah, biochemical scientists only identified the finding a solution for a pregnancy diagnosis kit is identified by a biochemical solution scientist. No people have belonging have been identified. No people start thinking that without the scan you can able to identify whether the concerned people is pregnant or not, because 28 percentage of the uh, patients delivery, it has been failure because the scan machine utilization, because n number of scan machine is utilized to do the minimal level of understanding to get the value whether the growth rate is high or growth rate is normal, whether it is a newborn baby is girl or boy. Like that they are doing n number of scan in the earlier stage, and after that only ethical clearance committee has been suggested in the year of 2000. They have passed the regulation that it should not do this type of scan, and you are making the newborn baby to not enter into the world, and you are completely eradicating. They started saying to identify whether the growth rate is there or not. Like that the n number of conditions has came, but the medical industry doesn't allow them to do this type of scan, and only biochemical scientist has been provided a suitable solution for the kit which can easily able to identify in your home itself. With the help of only amount of rupees 60 you can make sure that you are pregnant or not. If the biochemical scientist is selling the product in the amount of 300, 400, or thousands or 2000s, no people will start purchasing. There no people shows the interest on this type of component, and you people have to think that, yeah, low resource utilization only able to pitch it into the market and provide a suitable solution. And next one is the biosensors. This is the most important thing for you biomedical biochemical person, to monitor the values, to provide a sensors to identify what the reactants should be, how the chemicals should be characterized and synthesized to make the clothing, the accessories, how the smart jacket has been placed, how the value should be measured, what are the values can be taken from the sensors, like that. And you people has to provide the solutions to this. And next one is point of care diagnostic. You have to do the timely checking values. It should be in terms of ambulance. It should be automatically weared personality smart jacket, or the electrode should be taken the values, or the patient monitoring kit has to be regularly analyzed, regularly calibrated, regularly provide a medical field values to this type of solution. And the medical technology healthcare industry has three type of values. As you belongs to biochemical, there should be a optical utilization. Optical value should be there. Bioscopy scans are there to remove the unnecessary procedures, because if you give the biochemical or some optical values, it starts thinking how effectively it should be utilized, how effectively it should be mapped with the values, how effectively it should be address your solutions, like that, right? So you have to think in that end. You have to think in that version, how how effectively you can start doing your things. And because nowadays brain tumor has been come such a huge level inside the and it makes the blood count it has been reduced, molecular cells has been damaged, and unnecessary predictions has been came. With the help of optical, you are doing the operation with the optical surgery and you are cleaning that process. That's the important thing of optical utilization. And second one is the electronic aspirate. A very tiny nerve has been be damaged, and it should be all the nerves are connected with the head to legs, and if you disturb some of the nerves, it might makes you to produce unnecessary headache. You people always say, I have migraine problem, I have n number of times I am getting the headache. With the help of electronic aspirin, you can remove this type of problems, right? And the third one is needle free diabetes care. I am very much afraid about needle. Don't use this type of needle. Uh, is a newborn babies or some child with less than 10 years of age starts telling. But we are a biochemical person. When you are doing some insulin, it automatically affects some other parts. You have to think about that. How effectively I am providing solution with a needle-free care, needle-free diabetes care. A point by point of injecting a insulin in the nerves, surely it will damage some of the other components. So we people have to think that, and we have to provide a solution as a needle-free diabetes care. That's the role of the biochemical engineer. How effectively I can do this type of solution by without insulin, without doing non-invasive method, without taking blood component, I can able to provide any solutions. You have to think in that way, and you have to provide a needle-free diabetes care. That's the most important thing. Major innovation in healthcare. This is your role, right? What you people will do after your education. This is your role, and you are providing 100% of solutions to maintain high accuracy. Accuracy in the sense 99.5 is not a high accuracy. You have to develop, you have to make your things a high accuracy. Why we need? It should be that coolant. You are providing solutions to the diabetic patients, right? When the diabetic patients starts taking insulin and you are providing solutions, how much accuracy you are injecting the insulin, how much accuracy you are providing the suitable solution, how the patient care should be, how the patient engagement technology should be, how the treatment can be taken in terms of IoMT, Internet of Things has been the upgraded version as Internet of Medical Things, IoMT, and how effectively we are utilizing. We are searching the component to make the efficient patient engagement technology, because they itself start doing the insulin. They start insulin and they are providing the medicine, hybrid insulin delivery system, big data analytics. N number of big data are going background to you, and you people starts involving in the big data and make sure that how it effectively utilized in the healthcare industry, how effectively it is matching the healthcare industry, how the diabetes monitoring, because this is the most important scenario. Everywhere we starts connecting, we starts utilizing, we starts entering into the market, how importantly we can able to understand the scenario, understand the things, understand the values to the real time scenario, how it can be able to addressable, how it can be able to pitch the values, pitch the data to the diabetes monitoring. So that's the things going on, and we need to provide a suitable solutions to the values, how uh, to the modern era, because our thinking should be in the future. How it can be easily addressable, how economically we can give this solution, Nowadays, yeah, simple things has been taken tons and tons of values, and we start doing the social media for doing this type of surgery. This newborn baby requires 10 lakhs of amount. Kindly provide the financial terms. This might be a social media sharing. Nowadays, we are regularly seeing that, and you people start thinking it can be very huge amount has been easily addressable, easily identified. What is the impact of innovations? What is the impact of innovations to the solution? How easily it can be addressable? How easily it can be matchable to the solution? That's a major theme. And you have to provide the impact to your innovations. Throw your innovations to the society. A number of people is ready to catch your innovations, and you have to be in that venture, in that venue when you are ready to throw your innovations to the suitable market. That should be when you are doing, as we belongs to the providing the solutions to the healthcare, we need to do the regulations, policies. We have to write the policies. This is the chemical composition, and we have to submit to the ethical clearance committee, and they will get approved by the ICMR. Then only your innovations can enter it into the market. You are doing the field survey for humans, for the animals, for different types of mammals, to get the scenario how it is working, and you are doing the patient generated data. So you can be, yeah, values you can do, uh, provide the solution how the century needs, how the modern technological needs. If you are finding some solution, and it will be only like dosa or idli only for your 2 days of time in the market, only it will be sold for 2 days, then it won't be a suitable solution. It should be a future. Your innovation should be a futuristic one. Then only a number of people starts urging to your innovation, starts purchasing your innovation, and that will be suitable for you. Nowadays, we start hearing oxygen won't be sufficient in the year of 2070, because the oxygen will be purchased in the medical centers. Is it the correct method? Whether we need to purchase the oxygen and keep it in 24 cross hour like this, for every 30 minutes you start getting your oxygen, after the 2 hours you no need to, like that. It's not a correct scenario. We have to provide the solution to the future trends, and all these things comes in a mobile health. Nowadays, booking an appointment only be a mobile health. That's a funny thing. Now in hospital they are starting, today your booking appointment has been confirmed. For booking an appointment is not a mobile health. You have to give the values. Your blood cell count is this value. Kindly take the medicine or the food habit like this. This is the food chart. Kindly prepare this and kindly utilize this type of mobile health. And this type of mobile health only provides a value like that the mobile health should be. But unfortunately, nowadays the mobile health, they start thinking booking an appointment is a mobile health. That's not. We have to give the food and nutrition chart to the people. What is the height and weight measurement? After that, they have to give the values. I have taken this type of values and this type of medicine, this quantity of food I have taken. After that, we have to suggest some more food habits. That's what the blockchain technology has been shattered, and it is a interconnected system. You have to interconnect all the system and provide the values to the blockchain technology, and you have to empathize the healthcare interfaces. And I have earlier itself say innovation is a continuous process. It is not a single terminology. It is a continuous process. You have to work continuously. You have to work the nature in a continuous terms. No people have think a robot will take care as a nurse. A nursing operation will be taken care by a robot, because patients are getting high and high. Yeah, coma patients are getting high. Yeah, single-sided arrested patients are there. Yeah, there should not be any movement, physical movement. Just they will lie in the bed. Just their eye, they will be physically present. Only eyeball recognition will be there. Their mouth will start saying what the instruction needs to be given, and the robot will take care of this. State. No people have started thinking, and ENOS and the COVID-19 has been started nowadays because electronic sensing. Nowadays, we are started looking into the chef who started saying salt is missing in your food habit. But we are a healthcare industrial person. Your electronic nose will source the information, what the order should be, what the flavor should be. Like that, the sensing of humans things. From this, you are doing the comparison, human alphacation, identifying the human alphacation. Your sensing level is very low. Automatically, your brain sensing gets damaged. That's the thing we have to give. We have to do the quantification, we have to do the identification, we have to do the digital storage in terms of data retrieval and the data storage element. Invisible military tank has been formulated by the government, and this is the most important thing for a biomedical engineer. You people start doing the 3D printing as a printing human organs with biomaterials. This is feasible with the help of CAD software. It is a three-dimensional. X-axis motion is there, Y-axis motion is there, Z-axis motion is there, and we are doing the 3D printing. There should be precision, there should be demonstration, and the medicine value should be implicated as a bioprinting. We are dipping this solution inside a animal bone solution called as a hydrogel or some other medicine, some other solutions we are dipping in that, and we are making this as a originality, visuality. The human cells has been accuracy, and it should passing to the values of human cells or synthetic polymers has to be values to that, because if you use some plastics, it won't be a originality. There should not be any component like that. We should produce this as a value with a bio ink. Bio ink is nothing but a cells in addition with a hydrogel forms a bio ink. You people are much aware about a bio ink. You are doing the combination with your polymers with the addressable solutions, and you are providing a suitable values to your solution, and you can able to manage what the theme should be, what the analysis should be, how the cells should be connected with the people. Like that, the human ink has been produced, and there are so many problems is arising. Heart gets damaged, liver gets damaged, especially for the male candidates. A number of damages has occurred, and you people need to provide the solutions to that, and these are the people are doing that, right? And fighting with the obesity, because nowadays a number of people I look so fat. Girls start saying, even they look little 55 kgs, they start saying I need a zero weight, zero size, sorry, zero size. You start people start saying this is not the accurate mechanism. So they start wearing some of the obesity values, and they start saying I am much familiar with this type of components has been arrived, and it is utilized in each and every perspective, right? So that's the important scenario how the obesity should be, and we start saying how the cholesterol should be removed. Nowadays they are doing operation. By doing some of the surgery, they are cleaning the obesity fat. They are taking the cholesterol as a tons and tons of specimens they have taken, and they are throwing it outside, and after that they start stitching their stomach. This is not a correct mechanism doing the operation, and we have to provide some drug delivery paths. It should be fitted inside the body, and it starts removing the unwanted fat cells, It damages the unwanted fat cells and remove your cholesterol like that. And biochemistry is the need for all areas of science. That's what I have already addressed it to you, because it covers all areas. If there are some physiology, some biochemical, some environmental science, some nanomedicine, they need the support of biochemistry and they needs you. That's the important thing. They needs you. So they start searching you. But you have to develop your innovation. You have to develop your recent trends. And that's the important scenario of microbiological or the importance of biochemistry. In our engineering education system, they are studying two analytical subjects as biochemistry 1 and biochemistry 2 in the first year itself. Without chemistry, there is nothing. Without medical physics, there is nothing in their engineering stream. They understand very clearly, and you are the core sector peoples of biochemistry. You have to develop your brain like that, and you have to provide a suitable solutions for all these sectors. Nanoscience should be there, environmental health should be there, nutrition part should be there, your food and nutrition with the help of the cholesterol, what we have discussed right now. The sector team should be there. Yeah, pharmacy people start searching. Yeah, biochemical scientist role is huge. Their role should be a highly demandable one, right? There are a number of biochemistry scientists are available in and around India, and you people start saying this is the lab provided, this is the values. You people have many role models, right? A number of people like John McCall, who is the first scientist who find out the physiologist term. He is the people who identified he is from a British country and who identified the diverse career. He is a Nobel, he won the Nobel Prize for the insulin. Discovery of insulin has been identified by the John McCall, because he is the first people who identified the insulin, and he got the Nobel Prize for that. The things in the year of 1920s, right? And there are some recent scientists also there called David Baker. You people know him very well, I think so, because you studied in your academic subjects too, right? So like that, there are a number of scientists. Philip Cohen is there, who is a biochemist. He is the biochemist who, in the year of 1993, he find out some of the terminologies in connection with the London universities. With that, he have received the recognition as the academician of medicine, and he also received some national awards and the Nobel Prize for the findings, right? So you have to develop uh, protein synthesis. He developed the protein synthesis, and he has connected his visualization with this type of scientist. And right now, my student is studying in the University of Dundee, and his 3D printing has been kept in front of his biochemistry lab, and he is working for that. That type of 3D printing. He is the director of the university, and that is the role of biochemistical person. And you have to think in that way. You have to think in that way to make your visualization a healthier one, right? So think in that dimension, think in that values, and make yourself a healthier one. It has a reproducible one, and you people can be able to address a suitable solution with the help of the biochemistry. So how it starts at and how it ends, this is the things you have to design as a biochemical person. What the present scenario, how many people are taking the n number of medicine as a combination. For this you need to be combinations to develop your health, and this is the functionalities of the medicine, how the multivitamin tablets has been prescribed, and you have to describe as by a biochemical person, and these are the functions and the vitamins has been identified, and it can be easily addressable to the be how easily identifiable one, what are the vitamins has been deficient, and how I can able to provide solutions to this type of vitamin, and a vitamin tablet can easily be addressable to the things, because there are a number of vitamin tablets nowadays we people are purchasing, right? Vitamin tablet for hair, vitamin tablet for skin, vitamin tablets for weight gain, vitamin tablets for so and blah blah blah. N number of things are there. Vitamin liquid gels has been came nowadays. That's a biggest component. If you are taking some of the tablets as a chewable one, automatically your vitamins will get grow. Don't bite it, don't swallow that. Like that, a number of things. Fast and name itself they are suggesting fast and upcharge vitamin. Name itself they are giving, because they are doing the social marketing. Fast and upcharge vitamin, body fit vitamin, bold fit vitamin, big muscle nutrition vitamin. Like that, the name itself suggesting how, see how the naming the market people are. We people only suggest the vitamin competency name, but they are making as a name body weight, bold muscle vitamin. Like that, the name, and these people start selling the product and they start recognizing their product. And this is the bio keeping the bioengineered clothing to measure the values on their fat, how the calorie should be, how ethically their values, and this is the brain controlled process, because nowadays many people lost their hands, legs, and ears like that. How it is connected with the brain and the PQRST, you people know about the ECG measurement, and how it should be controlled with the help of prosthesis, and how the brain waves has been connected with the deficiency agents like that. And this is the fighting disease with the nanorobots. You people have to develop this, because a number of tissues has been damaged nowadays, and a robot has been placed inside your body, and it makes the dead cells to your live cells by giving the insulins to the body, and finally it has been taken out with the few operations carrying out. That's the important thing has been going on nowadays, right? And you people have to develop that. And robot checkup has been came, because they are doing the minimal type of checkup by the robot, and they are doing the n number of surgeries, they are doing the n number of visualizations, they are doing the telemedicine robots, because whatever value I am writing and giving to you, give it in hand to you. 13.2 is your hemoglobin count. You people won't believe, it might be wrong or right or wrong, but if a robot is giving the value, you people start believing it is 100% accurate, because robot doesn't know it is a male or female, it is a known person or unknown person, it is a combinations like that. And you people start thinking how effectively it should be utilized. Like that, the iRobot has came, and it's placing the surgery. Nowadays robot is using for some of the funny things, like serving for the robot restaurant. Wherever manpower is low, automatically robot will comes into the picture. Civil engineer, civil components getting low, robot will build their own construction. Whatever the command operation you are giving, it starts doing. Like similar like that, robot surgery and robot checkups will came into the picture. This is the thing we already discussed about the electroaspirin, and this is the final thing I am coming to you, is a electronic aspirin towards the nanotechnology biosensor for the rapid testing of COVID, because this is the instrument they have used, whether the COVID has been affected or not, whether the COVID has been um comes to the picture or not. COVID has been, how much percentage has been affected as a COVID. The scientist, as a material science scientist, has been identified this type, how highly sensitive it is, how accuracy the biosensor fluid, how accuracy the fluorine nano probe Yes, like that he started identifying, he started analyzing the content, he started manufacturing the content, how he is sending the flashlight into your molecules and identifying how the SARS-CoV has been identified the values. So that's the important thing. And how easily you have to be identified, how easily you can able to visualize your theme, how easily you need to understand what are the biochemical industrial flow, what is the biochemist can able to sustain in the industry, how easily he can provide the job opportunities, because you people start searching for the job, right? So what is the biochemist role, what is the consultant and the biochemist can able to do, how the role of biochemist, like that you start searching how their career, how the role should be, what are the degrees specialized, uh, what are the things you have to develop when you are entering in the things of biochemistry, right? So you have to understand the roles and the responsibilities of a biochemical or clinical biochemistry, because you need to understand how to diagnose the things, how to manage the things, how to visualize the things, and how to understand the futuristic trends, and how the roles and regulatory affairs has been in terms of biofluids, or you are taking some patient samples, you are interpreting the result with the medical staff, and you have to provide the accurate value, you have to mentor in the clinical sector, and the laboratory staff has to employability, and he have to lead the development and the implementation of roles and the responsibilities given to them, right? And that's a major scenario nowadays. Things are going on, yeah, things has to be shared, yeah, things has to be addressed to the values, to the solution, and you people has to be think in that view, so that a biochemical roles and responsibility you can be able to understand, because clinical biochemist is the leading biochemical role nowadays. The scope of biochemistry is be the huge task. You need to do the investigation, you need to give the analysis, and if some people's asking, yeah, robot has to do this type of anal process of clinical biochemistry, then you have to develop this type of mechanism. And there are n number of growing scenario in this type of clinical biochemistry, and you peoples has to be enter into the role, and you need to understand what is the process of electrolyte and how it can be synthesized, how the lab equipment has been given the value, what is the new spectrophotometer is doing and what the old spectrophotometer will do, the comparison of tissue engineering, the various laboratory scientist research equipment, and the values addressed to this type of solution, you have to understand. That's it. That's the role of modern era of healthcare sector, and the role of biochemistry in this type of sector. And you need to understand how importantly you are addressing your solution, how importantly you are justifying your solutions to the current scenario, how importantly you are playing your role in the current scenario. Like that the theme should be, like that the evaluation should be, like that the interpretation to the human life should be. That's an important thing you have to develop in your own. Now I am opening your session for your question and answer, because you have, if you have any doubt, you can, I have to be addressable to your solution. So it's a nice opportunity to interact with the biochemical person. From moving from laboratory to industry is the main important task, because a simple chemistry can make it a scenario into enter into a huge sector of big industry, right? That's what the developing scenario IASC is developing, because a simple project of capsule based endoscopy is developed by my students in the year of 2017, and they can enter into the real time society in the year to enter into the field. So that's the thing. And thank you to all the people for attending the session from Jyoti Nivas College from Bengaluru. And I would like to thank the principal and the organizing committee, and special thanks to Sophia ma'am for arranging the session. So I am opening the session as a question and answer. If you have any questions, you can ask me, or if you do like to do some of the projects, you can contact me at any time for any sort of help for your better understanding. And I am here to help the students community and faculty community. So thank you all. If you have any queries, you can open the session.
Thank you, Dr. Ramkumar, for that very wonderful session. As Sir said, we're opening the floor for questions. So anybody who has questions on the live audience, you can directly raise your hand and they'll allow you. And if anybody online has got a question, you are encouraged to put it into the chat box and one of us will ask it immediately.
Was there any questions?
Thank you so much, sir, for your valuable input. Your session on modern era of healthcare sector was informative and worthwhile. We express our profound sense of gratitude to you for accepting our invitation. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you for the things, and it's well organized. And all the best to the future personalities who were available in the auditorium, and my best wishes. And you are in the right path of biochemistry, and do more type of innovations and research in your team. And my best wishes to the Department of Chemistry and the Biochemistry of Jyoti Nivas College, and all the best for your future. And God bless you all. Thank you.
Sir. Thank you, sir. Warm greetings for the second session. It gives me immense pleasure to introduce the next eminent speaker of today's national seminar from laboratory to industry, Dr. Amitabh Ramani. Sir is passionate for sustainable living and innovation. Currently, he is the head C Division Innovation Center Society for Innovation and Development, Indian Institute of Science, Bengaluru. Sir received his PhD in coordination chemistry from Indian Association for the Cultivation of Science, affiliated to Jadavpur University, Kolkata, India in 1993. After a couple of years of postdoctoral research in the same institute, he joined Unilever R&D Mumbai in early 1995 and later moved to Bengaluru campus in 2004. He worked in various capacities, initially as a research scientist on specialty chemicals and later on novel synthetic materials, including nanomaterials for Unilever's home care and personal care business. In his last role till October 2018, he was Unilever's global leader on the strategic science group on functional materials. Thus, can I hear from you? That's what? Taking early retirement from Unilever, Sir joined Indian Institute of Science, Bengaluru in November 2018 to head the targeted research initiative for the Society for Innovation and Development. He has published 40 papers and 66 patents and worked on developing new products in the areas of specialization in organic salts and minerals, micronutrients, photo-stable sunscreens, water purification, surface modification, including non-stick surfaces, nano particulate, antimicrobials, silk proteins, and the list goes on. On behalf of principal, management, staff, and students of Jyoti Nivas College Autonomous, we welcome you, sir, and I request Dr. Grace S. Thomas, Dean of Physical Sciences and Head of the Department of Chemistry, to give a token of appreciation. Thank you, Grace ma'am, for doing the honor. May I now call upon Dr. Amita Pramani to take over the session.
So, yeah, certainly. How do I move my slides? Is there anything you will do it? Or is it possible for me to directly control it from the podium? Is that possible? That is, I don't click out, simply just move. That should be possible. Difficult for all of you. This thing actually. So, thank you very much, ma'am, for the kind words and a very good morning to all of you. For bulk of my career, I worked for a company, Unilever, roughly for 24 long years before joining Indian Institute of Science about 4 years back. So I don't have really a classroom teaching experience, but I joined IISc exactly for the same reason. My late father, who was a teacher in a school, always wanted me to be a teacher. I could not pay respect to his intentions, his willingness. But after he left, it dawned on me that if I cannot do only even this much, then what am I doing with my life? So even at IISc, I don't really teach, just like many of your professors would be teaching you. But this is one of the examples that I use today, and you have to excuse me for this, being treated as guinea pigs. I hope I can make this session lively. But just like classroom teaching, I will be asking you some questions, and you have to bother me. You have to tolerate me for these things. But just before I do that, I need to know the composition of the audience. So how many of you are students of chemistry here? Oh, most of you. That's easy for me then. Okay. When I was a student like you, of roughly your age, and I was, of course, a student of chemistry, this used to be a popular debate among students of science. So people used to ask us, why did you choose chemistry as your subject? What's so special about chemistry? There is always this kind of thought that chemistry is not the best of sciences. Those who are very intelligent, they do advanced things. and some of them go into mathematics. Of course, mathematics, there are jobs which are a little questionable, because with mathematics you can be a mathematician, but industries don't normally bother about mathematicians too much. So the next things that they choose, the best ones, unless of course they go for engineering and medical, is to study physics. And they say physics is a much higher level of science than chemistry, right? Have you ever faced any such question? I always faced. When I was a student, people used to ask me, why did you choose chemistry and why not physics? If you are really good, you should have chosen physics and not chemistry. And we didn't know how to answer these questions, frankly. So with a lot of thoughts, we came to basically two answers to that. One is, suppose you are a student of physics and you do really well in your career. You become a very good physicist. You become the best physicist in the world. What will you gain? You get recognition in the form of a prize called the Nobel Prize. It was announced a few days back. You must have heard about these things. So that is the highest honor, even in physics or even chemistry, and a good amount of money. These days they are giving some million Swiss kroner or something like that. It's big money and the highest honor. But this is in the name of one gentleman called Alfred Nobel. And who was Alfred Nobel? He was a chemist. He was a chemist. He did very simple chemistry to develop a big industry. The thing that he discovered is something called dynamite. Right? It's an explosive, but it's a very simple thing. He just mixed two things and it became dynamite. He mixed a substance called nitroglycerin and another adsorbent, which is called diatomaceous earth. That's all that he did. It became a big industry. And the money that he made from that was so much that even a physicist, which one may consider as a higher form of science, get benefited because of a simple invention in chemistry. That's globally. What about in India, nationally? The highest honor in any branch of science today in India is something called S.S. Bhatnagar Prize. Who is S.S. Bhatnagar? Shanti Swarup Bhatnagar is also another chemist, a physical chemist. Yeah. So the highest honor in science, whether it is in India or in the globe, are in the name of chemists. Shanti Swarup Bhatnagar was the person who was charged for establishing an institute called CSIR. Many of you will probably be asking for fellowships from that institute. CSIR stands for Council for Scientific and Industrial Research. So Alfred Nobel started industry. S.S. Bhatnagar also started in industry a chain of centers which are under CSIR, which is largely for industrial research. So chemistry has a large bearing on industry, and that is the theme of today's talk. And I'm very pleased that chemistry is being talked about as a method for creating industries, and that's all my talk today would be. But as I said, I spent bulk of my time in an organization which is not for teaching, so I have learned very small amount of chemistry. It's all historic, you can say, and I will be discussing some of them. Now, the first question, therefore, to you, as you are saying, you are students of chemistry, and I'm sure Jyoti College is a very good college, and therefore you are all very good students. That's why you are here. So my first question to all of you, the students, is the first question, which is what is chemistry? So what is the answer? You know the answer, don't you? Right? Chemistry is a branch of science which deals with chemicals. And what are chemicals? Anything that you can see, feel, everything is chemical, right? Physicists deal with energies and forces and stuff like that. Chemists don't bother about, they bother certainly about those things, but they deal with things which you can touch and feel, right? Those are called chemicals. Even a human being is nothing but a combination of chemicals, right? And this has been, in practice for a long time, although people today don't recognize them as a branch of science. So the person with whom this journey started, and you all know about this person, his name is Robert Boyle. He wrote a book in 1661. The name of the book is Skeptical Chemist. He was an Irish scientist. And in those days, of course, the Irish English was a bit different from what we talk today. So, what today we understand by chemistry, that time in Irish word it was chemistry. So he wrote a book, Skeptical Chemist. Why skeptical? Because anything that used to be called as chemistry in those days, he rejected bulk of that. And those days, chemistry was actually called, in today's language, alchemy. Yeah. The primary purpose for this alchemy was, I mentioned it here, two things. One is called to identify something called the elixir of life. And the other one is called philosopher's stone. You have heard about these things, right? If you look at it, even today, everybody looks for those two things. People want to be immortal, right? Nobody wants to die. I want to live long, live with health, and that is kind of immortality. So that is the elixir of life. What must I get to remain immortal? Those days, people are searching for those things. And the fellows who are searching, today we call them alchemists. Today also we search for such things. Dr. Ramkumar spoke about biochemistry and its application in healthcare. Even the healthcare specialists also want people to give people a long life, right? May not be immortality because they understand that immortality is not possible, but to whatever extent one lives, one has to live with health, right? That is also, you can say, the elixir of life. And the other thing is to search for the most precious thing that God has given us. Those days it was nothing but gold. Today also it is gold. People love jewelry, particularly women love jewelry more than men do. And these days, of course, there are better things than gold. People are looking for platinum and diamond and whatnot. And there are advertisements to catch people for those things, right? Diamond is forever and stuff like that. And you go and give beeline on the diamond shops and stuff like that. So those days, people are looking for even those things also. Because they are intelligent people, they knew what were the things that people would look for. Unfortunately, they didn't succeed. And even today, nobody has succeeded getting into this. So you cannot say that those people are idiots. They were not. They were quite intelligent people. They are looking for the real things. They didn't succeed. Today also we have not succeeded. So that doesn't mean that, therefore, alchemy was not science. Do we call it pseudoscience today? Because people do call alchemy as pseudoscience. It is not science. It is superstition. People are, looking for things from the barks and leaves and, things of, or some body parts of some animals for solutions of those things. But what are they doing today? We are also looking for similar things, similar ideas. Even today, the drug for malaria, which is quinine, and the derivatives called chloroquine, is still we source it from the barks of cinchona. Although there are methods for making those things, the development is very recent, not very old. It is Professor Woodward who synthesized quinine successfully in middle of last century. So that was not very old, I'd say. Yeah. So if you call alchemy pseudoscience, let us see whether that argument is valid. So if somebody says it is not science, I would ask, what about what people do in the old Stone Age or the new Stone Age or the Iron Age or the Bronze Age? Those are also pretty old time, right? They knew that they, in order to live, they need to kill animals, and they can kill animals only if they are more powerful than the animals. But we all know that we are not more powerful than the tigers and elephants of the world, right? They are much bigger, much stronger. They have powerful tools. God has given them powerful tools. We don't have. What we have is inside this. And with that, they created, tools. What are those tools? very sharp objects. So you go out of your cave, you see a tiger, you aim at the tiger. If it hits the tiger, you get your food. If it does not hit the tiger, gets its food. That was the life at those times, right? But it is no longer the same thing today. And therefore, human beings have invented a lot of things by using different techniques. And I have listed some of these. So who are the people who made the jewelries, metal tools, and pots and pans, earthenwares, dyed clothes, cleaned clothes, made sweetmeats, yeah, or medicines and wines and all this? Who are the people? Those alchemists, maybe, yeah. And what are the techniques that they used? They did it by simply mixing two things or dissolving some solid thing into solution, maybe in water or some other things, by a process called distillation, by a process called precipitation, filtration, evaporation, separation, crystallization, drying, all these methods. Even today, we use exactly the same methods in our chemistry labs. All of you are doing chemistry practicals, and you use exactly those techniques. You may not be using, those ancient tools like, this mortar and pestle of different kinds, because, this Ayurveda Acharya, they prefer this kind of things. We don't do that. We take a glass, stuff called test tube and add dropwise from another things, a dropper or a funnel or whatever you call it. Those are the only cosmetic changes that are happening. Ideally, the tools are all the same. Yeah, the old things. Of course, Boyle was the first person, in what we call as modern chemistry to derive certain laws. So he gave us what is known as Boyle's law, that is in 1662. It took more than 100 years to come up with a similar law, which was developed by another, a British scientist called John Charles. But John Charles was, a very introvert kind of a person. He didn't preach his science. Robert Boyle was the son of an Earl of Cork, nobleman, big man, king's man. So he had a lot of money, he could do his things. Charles was not that kind, so he didn't, talk about it. He just noted down his findings, the Charles law, which I'm sure all of you know, so I will not bother asking you. But it took about 20 odd years for that to be found by another French guy. His name is Gay-Lussac. He also developed another law, and he found that, so he knew Boyle's law, which is V is directly proportional to P, whereas Charles gave another thing, and Gay-Lussac gave another thing, and all together it became, all together it becomes PV is proportional to RT, so PV equal to nRT, N is the number of moles and stuff like that, right? So these are all very trivial things. When Charles was developing his law, immediately before that, there are three scientists from three different countries: Schill, Priestley, and Lavoisier, almost same time. So Lavoisier is French, Priestley is British, and Schill, I think, is Swedish. They all discovered a gas. They didn't know what it was. There was the existing theory, it was called the phlogiston theory. When you ignite something, it adds phlogiston to that, or phlogiston comes out actually from that, and that's why we see those flames. That's what was the existing theory in those days. But it was Lavoisier who quantitatively showed that that is not the case. Actually, when you are heating something and letting it burn, it's actually oxygen which is reacting with it. And so oxygen must be there in air, and if air contains oxygen, that means air is a part of oxygen is a part of air, and therefore air may have some other things also. So they also found that oxygen is roughly about 1/5 of air. The 4/5 is something called nitrogen, which is inert and stuff like that. They also discovered this gas called carbon dioxide by the same method that we even follow today, by passing the gas through this lime water and stuff like that. It becomes turbid, and you pass it more and it becomes clear again. So those are the things. But that is the first time when people realized that thing which we don't see here also has properties which are similar to the solids and the liquids. So earlier people used to think that solid, they used to call it earth, is different from the liquid, and the usual liquid was water. So that's why this Pancha Mahabhuta. And if you look at this Pancha Mahabhuta, the first thing is Piti, which is earth, solid, and then Op, which is water, liquid. But air, which is Marut. So they used to think that is different. But this is for the first time they found that they also have a property, and Boyle's law is actually the property that defines gas, not solids, not liquids, and stuff like that. So this realization made them believe that things which we don't see by naked ear also are things which follow principles, physical principles, just like solids and liquids and stuff like that. And we can create mathematical law with that things. And that paved the way of understanding chemistry in a very different way. Of course, at that time, there are a few metals known, I think 8 or 9 metals which are known, gold, silver, copper, etc. Basically things which exist in nature as such, as metals, or things that you can reduce easily. Reduce with coal, which was also known, so carbon, or reduce with another metal, stuff like that. So some of these metals that we know today, right, sodium, potassium, calcium, magnesium, etc., which belong higher to the electrochemical series. Of course, electrochemical series, for you to know, you need to know what is electrochemistry and what is electron, which was discovered much, much later. It was thanks to Alessandro Volta, another scientist, which in exactly 1800 discovered this Volta's pipe battery. And the moment he discovered battery, people, and electrolysis was known at that time, thanks to Faraday and his professor Humphrey Davy. So people started electrolyzing, passing electric current through anything that they got their hands on. And that's why one after the other metals started being discovered. Humphrey Davy himself discovered many metals, sodium, potassium, calcium, etc. Berzelius, another scientist, also discovered a few. And of course, we know the world has gone through two major calamities, world wars. And since necessity is the mother of invention, world war means lot of destruction, lot of death and all these things, and people look for solutions when they are desperate. And that also paved the way for developing chemistry. I took a long time to say a very small thing, which all of you know. And now I'll again use a small time to talk to you on two very simple chemicals. Yeah, one is an acid and one is an alkali, and how that helps. So the first one is sulfuric acid. In ancient textbooks, sulfuric acid is called oil of vitriol. Yeah, why is it called oil of vitriol? Because there is something called green vitriol, which of course you know, green vitriol is nothing but ferrous sulfate, which is available in nature, and they used to make it from this green vitriol. Because they used to make it a liquid from green vitriol, which is a solid, they used to call it oil of vitriol. Yeah, so you take it in a retort. Yeah, it's retort in Hindi or in I'm a Bengali, so Bengali textbook written as Vakjantra. Yeah, so it's an apparatus which is used for distillation, of course, and from its tube comes out the liquid, and you pull it and and collect it. So when you heat this, it of course generates sulfur dioxide, which gets oxidized to sulfur trioxide. You collect it in water, it becomes sulfuric acid. Till about 17th century, that was the only process. Then one scientist, Johann Glauber, and you may be knowing what is called Glauber salt. Glauber salt is sodium sulfate. Yeah. So Glauber, he discovered a process for making sulfuric acid by a slightly different way. There was one material which was much in demand across the globe, and this is called saltpeter. You might have heard about chili saltpeter. Chile saltpeter was discovered in Chile in a mine, but that was much later. Before that, saltpeter was a thing of much need across the globe. This is because people are fighting all over the world for establishing dominance. Yeah, that's how all these East India companies came to India. They were, they came to India in search of what? Spices. Because they knew that spices are things that they can sell at very high price in the Europe, which was not available. And of course, when they established their rule in India, they started getting or sourcing a lot of saltpeter also from India. So India was a country for sourcing very good quality of saltpeter. The saltpeter, potassium nitrate, was an ingredient in a material called gunpowder. Yeah, gunpowder is the powder which is an explosive, which is used for killing people, of course. Used in the cannons for throwing those big balls, metal balls. If you have to propel, you need an explosive. That gunpowder was the material for that, and the chief ingredient of that was the saltpeter. So Johann Glauber found that if you combine sulfur and potassium nitrate, so basically you are oxidizing sulfur with potassium nitrate, you get this gas, sulfur trioxide, which you mix in water, you get sulfuric acid. Now, this process was scaled up. So, his process was something called a laboratory process. This Joshua Ward, a London pharmacist, he started producing this in large quantities. But he, of course, needed glass apparatus, so therefore could not make large quantities. The small quantities of the stuff, but that he started selling because sulfuric acid was required for many purposes, and so he started a business. That was in 1736. In 1746, about 10 years later, John Rebuck, who was British from Manchester, he developed a process called lead chamber process. So lead is a metal which is supposed to get dissolved in sulfuric acid, but it does not, because the surface gets poisoned by concentrated acids. Yeah. So that's why you can store acid in lead containers, and even today, these processes are used in some places. But the maximum concentration by this process that you could achieve is about 65%. So it is not absolute. 65% of sulfuric acid, the balance 35 is of course water. Then this Henderson, which we talked about, who discovered the law of gas, and he also popularized Charles' law. The same scientist, he found out a method to improve the concentration from 65% or to about 78% by distillation. So he found that if you somehow can go on distilling sulfuric acid and remove water, then it can go to about 78%. But for that, he used a slightly different method instead of saltpeter and sulfur, because in many cases, particularly in France, saltpeter was not available in large quantities. And you should know the reason from history textbooks, because it's French and British, they were fighting everywhere, including in India. Yeah. So British will not give them the French saltpeter, easy access. In France, they could access only calcium nitrate, which was not a good source, and this was also hygroscopic, so therefore it's not a good source for making sulfuric acid. And that's why they started, using another material, ferrous sulfide, which is also called pyrites, and the process is very simple, as I say. Again, you heat it at high temperature, and the gas you dissolve in water, and keep on distilling, you get 78% sulfuric acid. And finally, the process which is still used industrially in most of the sulfuric acid plants, which is called the contact process, which was developed by Peregrine Phillips, 1831. This is about less than 200 years back. Is directly by burning sulfur, making sulfur dioxide, and then in presence of a catalyst, you make sulfur trioxide and so on, and you make sulfuric acid. So it is through that route called oleum. Yeah. So this is it. So I have talked about an acid. Now let us go to a base. And the first base that was very popular was nothing but sodium carbonate. Now, before that, of course, people knew something called a base. What is that base? That was nothing but ash. Ash you can make easily by burning wood. So wood, which comes from, of course, from trees. So you cut trees, you get the wood. The trees, for their own living, they of course need potassium. That's why as fertilizer you have to supplement NKP, right? N is for nitrogen, K is potassium, P is phosphorus. These three are essential for a plant to grow. And because plants need potassium, where will it store? Of course, it stores in its body in the form of wood. And that's why when you burn, potassium cannot go like carbon dioxide and water vapor. So it remains in the ash, large quantities of that. And that's why, this potassium carbonate, which is there in wood ash, is still used in villages for cleaning things. Particularly villagers, they clean their teeth with ash sometimes, and it's for the same purpose. So in mouth, if you have some oil, it can be emulsified with a base, and the base is coming from the wood ash, which is potassium carbonate. The French chemist Nicolas Leblanc, he developed something called the Leblanc process for sodium carbonate. What is the process? The process requires common salt, sulfuric acid, limestone, and coal. How do you get sulfuric acid? By the process I just mentioned in the previous slide. So this is the thing. So you take common salt, sulfuric acid, limestone, coal. This is a three-step process. First, you treat sodium chloride with sulfuric acid. You get sodium sulfate and you get hydrochloric acid. The hydrochloric acid actually releases as a gas. Now, this is not a problem for a laboratory. A laboratory is always equipped with an exhaust fan, so it can get rid of the HCl gas through the exhaust fan. But in a factory, when you grow large quantities of hydrochloric acid in the form of a gas, and it's not a good gas, right? If you inhale, you start coughing immediately. And if you inhale HCl for long enough time, you will die. And nobody wants to die because people look for elixir of life. They want to live long. It's pointless to die working in a chemical factory. So it's not a good process in that sense. But that is what Leblanc could discover at his time, which is in 1792. So sodium chloride, sulfuric acid, you get sodium sulfate. That sodium sulfate you reduce with carbon, and you get the carbon from the coal. Okay. So you reduce that in presence of high temperature and heat and limestone. So limestone gets degraded to carbon dioxide and calcium oxide. Sodium sulfate gets reduced to sodium sulfide. That sodium sulfide in the next step, you treat it with limestone, which is calcium carbonate. So you get sodium carbonate and calcium sulfide. Calcium sulfide is actually, in this particular case, black in color. Yeah, black in color. It is not soluble in water. So you get a lot of quantities of calcium sulfide. You are looking for sodium carbonate. Sodium carbonate can be dissolved in water. So a mixture of sodium carbonate and calcium sulfide. You add water, sodium carbonate dissolves. You separate it by filtration, and then you recrystallize. You get sodium carbonate. Simple process. But what will you do with this calcium sulfide? You have no use of that. It does not, the damn thing doesn't even dissolve in water. So it becomes like a hill. And the hill is a black colored hill. No use of that. This is wastage. Today, the chemical companies, they trade these kind of things, which have no use, but they generate in large quantities. If you calculate the molecular weight of calcium sulfide, calcium 40, sulfur 32, so this becomes 72. Sodium carbonate is 106. So per 106 grams of sodium carbonate, you get 72 grams of calcium sulfide. So per ton, it is like, almost like 700 kgs of this. So per 1,000 tons, it is like 700 tons of this. What will you do with them? You cannot throw it anywhere. That's the problem. Yeah. So it's an industrial process which was in vogue for 7 long decades, 70 odd years. But the issues are twofold. One is it generates a toxic hydrochloric acid gas. Hydrochloric acid gas also eats away the metal components of the factory. So it gets corroded and stuff like that. People start coughing. They have to run away from these things. and also this Hill generation of calcium sulfide is like you said. Yeah, so this is not a good process. But that is what the chemist's role is. Wherever there is a problem, you provide solution. The moment you provide solution, you have your own process. The moment you have your own process, you can start your company, and the company can become big and you can make a lot of money. That's exactly how Alfred Nobel made his empire, and from the interest of the money that he generated, the Nobel Committee is able to give millions of dollars worth of prizes to five big prizes, and this is 122nd year of the prize being given, all from the interest. So look at the principle, the money that we made. Yeah, so this is what it is. Now, so what is the solution for this particular case? Yeah, the labor is the process for making sodium carbonate. What is the process? I will now give you 3 quizzes, and you have to tell the answer. Of course, I will give the answers also. By 3 interesting stories, I first narrate the story, then ask you the questions, and I expect that you will be able to give the answer. Story number 1. In 1861 is the year of importance to India. That is the year when the first modern chemical scientist was born, and his name is Acharya Prafulla Chandra Dev. So students, all your lecturers and professors, they did their studies, and so they had their lecturers and professors, and they had their lecturers and professors, and you go behind that, you will hit one person, and that one person is Acharya Prafulla Chandra Dev, who was born in 1860. Yeah. Now, this scientist that I'm talking about, and my question is of that scientist, he, in that particular year, developed a new process by improving on Lebra process. What did he do? You remember, for Lebra process, then he needed common salt, sulfuric acid, limestone, and coal as a source of carbon. So he changed sulfuric acid with ammonia. So there was a process known for ammonia. I will not come to that. But the moment he did that, look at the sequence of reactions that he had to undergo to get sodium carbonate, which was his targeted material. So calcium carbonate, which is limestone, if you heat, it generates calcium oxide and carbon dioxide. Very simple thing. Sodium chloride, you make a solution called brine. You bubble ammonia and carbon dioxide through that. So sodium chloride becomes sodium bicarbonate and ammonium chloride. There is a difference in solubility of that. Ammonium salts, as you know, is very highly soluble in water. So they can be, they remain very highly soluble. Sodium bicarbonate can be separated because it is not as soluble, right? And because it can be separated, then you separate that and heat it at high temperature, you get sodium carbonate. So that is your desired material. It also generates carbon dioxide and water. That calcium oxide which you got from burning limestone, that you now treat it with the ammonium chloride that you are getting a solution. It actually generates back your ammonia. So you actually need very small quantity of ammonia. Making ammonia is not simple. But in this process, you need only the first time ammonia. And then the process regenerates ammonia, which you can put it back, right? So the overall reaction eventually becomes like sodium chloride plus calcium carbonate equal to sodium carbonate plus calcium chloride. This kind of reactions are called double decomposition reaction. Very simple reactions. But if you take only sodium carbonate and calcium chloride, there is a calcium carbonate, there is no reaction. They both are neutral compounds. What will they react? They don't. You need ammonia in the middle, but you generate back that ammonia. So because you are not using sulfuric acid, there is no generation of the hydrogen chloride gas. So that is solution number 1. There is no such thing. And the entire ammonia is recycled. So you cannot say that it costs more because it requires an expensive chemical called ammonia. Because whatever you use, you get it back. You keep on recycling this a number of times, and then you keep on generating calcium chloride. And because it does not generate calcium sulfide, you don't have this problem of a hill of black, ash also. So no hydrogen chloride gas, no calcium sulfide, and a process which completely recycles all of ammonia. It's a much better process than the lake lab process. Now, so he not only discovered that, he started a company along with his brother in 1863, before World War I, which broke out in 1914, which is roughly about 50 years later. So in these 50 years, that company became so big and he made so much money that in 1914, it became the largest multinational company of the world, just by one process, simply by replacing sulfuric acid with ammonia, all these things. He became so rich that he started sponsoring annual conferences. And in that conferences, he used to invite big people, big scientists. Now, in 1901, these Nobel Prizes, start being allocated. So in 1911, there are only 11 Nobel Prizes given, both in physics, chemistry, and all these things. In his conference, those who used to attend are either Nobel laureates or they would eventually become Nobel laureates. It was such a high-profile conference that he used to sponsor. So my question is, who is the discoverer and what is the name of this company? Is there anybody who can give this answer? I am asking the students, of course. Let me give you a hint. Yeah, I'll show you a picture. This picture was taken in 1929 of that conference. And look at the people who are attending those things. There are people who are all very familiar with. Madame Curie and Lorentz and Einstein and Guy, Wilson, all these guys. Levi, all these fellows you have heard their names, right? They are all together in that conference and they are presenting there in that conference. So who was the person who just developed a very pretty simple double decomposition kind of reaction and made so much of money that he could invite all of them, pay their fare, and talks and all these things and still, continue for a long time. His name is Ernest Solvay. The name of the corporation is Solvay Corporation. And the process for making sodium carbonate is, of course, the Solvay process. Yeah, very simple thing. Inorganic chemistry. These also may not be mentioned in your textbooks today because it is so ancient now. But with this innovation, he made tons of money. All of you are studying. Some of you, of course, will go for higher education and will probably teach. And teachers never make money. But I'm sure some of you have the aspiration of making money also. So learn from these fellows that even with simple things, you can make big industries and make tons of money. So this is story number one. My story number two. Okay, so from inorganic chemistry, let me come to organic chemistry. And this is also a similar time, 19th century. If you look at the history books, the 19th century means the British guys are trying to build their empire in India. They have already captured bulk of it. In south, particularly in Mysore, they are fighting the emperors of Mysore. First Hyder Ali and then the Emperor Tipu Sultan. Both of them fought very hard. There are 4 Anglo-Mysore wars, but in the 4th one, Tipu Sultan, of course, was defeated and was killed. It was in 1799, the last day of the century. Last year of this century. He, of course, died, and the British guys, of course, captured his capital, which was Srirangapatnam, right? Now, Srirangapatnam, I'm sure most of you have visited Mysore and you have seen the area today, of course, is much better, but those are marshy areas. There are a lot of low-lying areas, and therefore there are ponds and stuff like that. This is the area for mosquitoes to grow. Particularly those days, this is a dreadful area for mosquitoes. Of course, British soldiers, after they won, they were in high spirit, so they drank a lot of their favorite liquid and were making merry, and in this process getting bitten by mosquitoes and getting disease which is called malaria. And the disease for malaria has only one solution in those days. Even today also, it's quinine. Quinine, as you know, can be made from the barks of cinchona, and the primary source for cinchona was in Peru and Bolivia, which is Latin American countries. And in those countries, of course, there are others who made their colonies, not the British guys. So how will the British guys source cinchona and therefore give their solutions, the cinchona bark to their soldiers? How will they give? So therefore, they started sponsoring research on quinine, and everybody was, anybody who could do some little organic chemistry was trying their hands in making quinine. There was one scientist, a German scientist, was working in a university in London, whose name is Professor Hoffman, August Hoffman. He was also trying to make quinine from its raw materials. He called one of his interns, one students who joined recently. He said, "Hey, I am giving you a process. This process will, I think, give quinine. But Easter vacation soon. I am going on holidays to Germany, my native place. I expect you to work on this and solve this. By the time I come back, I want quinine on my desk. Yeah, you work on this, you solve it. Whatever problem is your problem, you solve it, and you give me quinine. I am sure it will be." What did the student do? He followed his professor. He started doing the reaction. But the moment he started doing the reaction, and the first reaction was, some aromatic amine, aniline basically, was, according to his professor, had to be treated with acid and a powerful oxidizing agent, potassium dichromate. Yeah. The moment he did that, he got a fantastic color. And this color, today you call it mauve color. To the extent I understand color, there are different perceptions of color as felt by women and men. Men see, things like green, blue, yellow. But women are different. What are you calling green? Is it what is blue? There is nothing called blue. Is it sea blue or ocean blue? Is it, there are different shades of blue, and they are experts in this. So mauve is one such color. We don't understand. We call it purple. But no, purple is different, mauve is different, and there is turquoise and this and that, all sorts of things. Anyway, so the moment we found that, that is also the time when, as you can understand, this is in 1856, this happened. 1857 was Sepoy mutiny in India. Also the Indigo Revolution in India. And if you understand the history, Indigo Revolution for what? Because the British guys were forcing the Indian farmers to grow more and more indigo so that they can take those indigo and take it to the plants of Liverpool and Manchester for dyeing their clothes. Indigo was for dyeing clothes. Yeah. In 1856, there was not a single material, synthetic material, with which textile materials could be dyed. So there are one thing which is indigo for blue. There was another thing which was called madder, which is for red. These were the colors with which textile materials were dyed. Synthetic dye was not known. The moment the student saw this fantastic color, he put some textile materials there. He put some cotton, some silk, some this, that, all sorts of things, and he found that it was making brilliant mauve colors. So instead of trying to make quinine, which was his objective given by his professor, he came back home and he told his elder brother, brother, I have got this thing. Brother should forget about PhD. He had hit the jackpot. So let us make it. You do one thing, you send this thing to the textile factory. Let us see whether they also get this thing. They sent some sample to the factory, and lo and behold, factory fellow said, we are looking for such things. This is much better than indigo. such brilliant color, and this is better than indigo, and can you give me 10 kg tomorrow? So they forgot about these things, and he and his elder brother put up a factory right at the backyard of their house. They took some loan from his father and started making that material. He called it morphine. That was the first synthetic dye ever prepared anywhere. Yeah. Now, when Professor Hoffman came back, when the student said, "Sir, I'm sorry, I don't want to do this. I got by something." Professor rebuked him like anything. "You are an intelligent guy. You will solve the world problem of malaria." I said, "Forget malaria. I could not make quinine in any case. So let me try this." He left. Yeah. Now, so that was in 1856. 1858, there is another guy, Heinrich Caro, and you may remember, Caro's acid. Caro's acid is like sulfuric acid, but one more OH group attached there. So peroxy sulfuric acid. So this Caro, he knew about this discovery of morphine, and he improved this process. Yeah? He found that there's all these impurities with aniline and toluene and all these things, and there is orthotoluene and orthotoluamine, methyl aniline, etc. So he purified those and got better quality of morphine and stuff like that. So this is the Heinrich Caro. And he returned to Germany and started working with Robert Bunsen, who was a great scientist. And you all know that Bunsen's partner was named after Robert Bunsen. In 1861, the same year, I told about Prafulla Chandra Ray's birth. It is another person, Engelhorn, who was a businessman. He also came to know about the synthetic dye. He was a goldsmith. He had his own business of lighting, city streets and etc. He started a company for making, with the solvent process, the same material, which is sodium carbonate. But he hired this Caro in his company as head R&D, and he said, you do one thing. You go find out the best scientist and make new textile dyes, because this is good field. We have got morphine, which is for mauve color. I need other colors, the shades of blue and red and yellow and green and all these things. So he found two great scientists, Greve and Lieberman. But they also discovered first time a material called alizarin, which is also the mother of all dyes. With that, all these azo dyes also started, discovering and all these things. So he found a patent for discovering alizarin. The fellow who discovered morphine, the student of Professor Hoffman, he also discovered alizarin separately, and he also found a patent. Now, in the patent office, the fellow, the Caro got the patent because the student of Professor Hoffman, he actually approached the patent office 1 day later. So you understand the importance of approaching the patent office. The moment you discover something, you write down and then run to the patent office for patenting this. Because if you are delayed by even 1 day, you don't get the patent. So business grew of these Engelhorn fellows. And today, that company is the second largest chemical company of the world. Yeah, it started with alizarin as a textile dye. Today is the second largest chemical company of the world. Now my quiz question is, who was that student of Professor Hoffman who accidentally discovered the first synthetic dye? And thank you very much. What's your name? I'm very happy that we know about this. So yes, his name is William Henry Parkin, and you have heard about and learned about Parkin reaction, Parkin rearrangement, and all sorts of reactions in organic chemistry. Parkin also discovered many such things, processes for making some vitamins and stuff like that. So this is my second. How much time do I have? I'm telling too much of stories, and is it already? Have I taken all my time? I still have some time, right? I have. Okay. 11:30. What is the time now? 11:20. I have 10 minutes more. Okay, I'll be quick. So I'll tell one more story for quiz.
What was the name of the company?
The name of the company is BASF. So BASF Corporation. BASF is a German company. It stands for Badisch Aniline and Soda Fabric. So aniline comes from that, the primary material aniline, and soda fabric. Soda is because his first business was the soda from solvent process. Yeah, with that he started. Today it is the second largest. In fact, before the acquisition of DuPont by Dow, it was the number one company. So now it is second. So now Dow Chemicals is number one company and BASF is second. My third one is again from the time of French Revolution, and the scientist whom I admire quite a lot. His name is Antoine Lavoisier, who is, of course, the father of modern chemistry, you can say, law of conservation of mass and all these things, who actually looked at chemistry the way we look at that. Boyle was rather, I'd say, different. Lavoisier was, of course, the king's man. And that's why when king was guillotined because of French Revolution, Lavoisier also was considered as a traitor, which of course he was not. He was a wonderful person, but he also went through guillotine. Yeah, Lavoisier. So when he was just 50 years old. Now, before, of course, he died in 1787, he took as an apprentice the son of a friend. So he had a friend who was, of course, another nobleman. So his son, his friend's son, joined Lavoisier as a student. Yeah. This father's son, though, they helped the king, to escape from the palace, and therefore they were, that actually angered the revolutionaries. So they also went through the trials, but somehow they, managed to escape the guillotine. But as you know, once you are tried for suspicion, you always remain a suspect. Therefore, life was not very easy for them. In a country of their own, they were being looked at as a traitor against the country and stuff like that. The king's man, the king is guillotined and all this thing. Very soon, a new emperor will come. His name is Napoleon, as you know. So they were all, very anxious. They are looking for opportunities to escape the country. And in the year 1800, the 1st of January, they actually left and reached the shore of America. By the time the French has their colonies also in America, so they went there, and they had some friends also there. In 1801, there was one US officer who took the son, the French son, who was the student of Lavoisier, for hunting. Hunting was very common those days, in the jungle. Yeah? So they went for hunting in the jungle, and they found one animal at a distance. So they took out their guns and aimed at the animal and tried to shoot. But the bullet didn't come out. They tried again it misfired. No bullet came out. And 3 times the same thing. The son said, "What have you got here? The bloody Americans who don't know how to kill an animal by pointing a gun at it. It doesn't fire. What is it?" So the army officer said, "Sir, I think there is a problem with the gunpowder." So he said, "Who makes gunpowder there?" "I learned my chemistry from Lavoisier, and Lavoisier was in charge of the gunpowder in France. And he was actually trying to purify the gunpowder. As I told you earlier, that the French quality of gunpowders were not great because they were calcium nitrate instead of potassium nitrate. Calcium nitrate, if you look at your textbook, you'll find that it always comes with 2 moles of water crystallization. So they are hygroscopic. They capture moisture from atmosphere. They don't remain dry. Now, for something to act as a propeller, you need to make it dry. And potassium is much better because potassium nitrate is a very dry material. Most of the potassium salts are dry materials. Potassium bromide, you'll be using it for making this pellets for infrared spectrum and stuff like that. Yeah. So he said, guys, take me to the gunpowder factory. I want to see it. So they visited the gunpowder. And he told the gunpowder factory manager, look, you Americans, you are idiots. Where have you sourced your gunpowder or saltpeter from? Your saltpeter is coming from where? So I said, we have got it from India. We got it from India. It's the best quality, it's potassium nitrate. And how have you managed to jeopardize it so much that it does not even fire? We French guys, we struggle to get potassium nitrate. We don't get it. You got the best quality, you still don't know how to make it. If you can give me your, saltpeter, I can make much better quality gunpowder. So the next year, he established a company for making gunpowder. And that company went to become another largest company in the world. So my question to you, as I repeated myself often, what was the name of this person? And so that is, who is this son? And what is the name of this company? So the name of the son is E.I. DuPont. DuPont, as we call it. DuPont has made several discoveries, fluorocarbons, this freons and teflons and lycra and all these things. They are DuPont corporation's discoveries. So that was established in 1801, yeah, by this guy, E.I. DuPont. And he was the apprentice of Lavoisier. And this is the experiment. This is the experiment. Very simple thing, you can understand now. So one was just replace, sulfuric acid with ammonia, and you make this company. The another one, some accidental reaction, you just oxidizing some, material which is like aniline or substituted aniline with potassium dichloride or morphine. They have nothing but, source something from India and mix it properly. You make your new discoveries and stuff like that. So all of them become big things. In our country, this was done by Acharya Prafullichandra Ray in Calcutta. What did he do? I'll be a little fast now because I have consumed part of my time in telling stories. I don't know how whether it was at all useful. But before I come back to other things, I think I can skip this PC Ray part. All he did was, he made import substitution. So those days, many of the things are imported from UK and Germany and stuff like that. By making the Indian stuff which was as good, by using raw materials from India, so like for making something called superphosphate of lime, he used bones of cattle. He sourced it from a slaughterhouse. So because bones are nothing but calcium phosphate, right? So you don't need pure quality calcium phosphate. Because the slaughterhouses, they don't know what is the use of bones. They simply throw it. He just burnt it and sourced phosphorus from there, and he made his business out of that and stuff like that. So I skip those things, and I will skip part of these things. One example I want to give you from my own experience. I skip part of that. So one example, I work for a company in Unilever, as you know, which till late used to be called as fast-moving consumer goods company, catering to different areas from soap to soup. So we have soap in our portfolio. We have soup also in our portfolio. The soap, as you know, is a very simple thing. Many of your grandmothers would be making soap at home. But today, no grandmothers make soap at home, thanks to companies like Unilever, etc. There are all sorts of brands, Lux, Lifebuoy, Devi, Dove, this, that, all sorts of things, right? So we at one point of time actually was 2/3 of the soap market in India. And you all must have seen this particular brand called Dove. And if you look at its advertisement, it is not a soap, it is 1/4 moisturizing cream. It does not make your skin dry. It gives a lot of benefits. It is the mildest soap and all sorts of things. You people often think that most of these advertisements are nothing but large exaggeration, hoax, maybe often false. But let me tell you, some of them are true exaggerations, some are not. Like Dove, for example, is in fact today certainly the mildest soap on earth. There is no competition, but it is actually not so. So I have a series of questions there too. The first question is, what is soap? You all know, right? Soap is a very simple chemical. What is it? Soap is a salt of fatty acid, sodium and potassium, soluble, water soluble salt of fatty acid. So basically sodium and potassium salts of fatty acid. Now, so why are the normal soaps not mild? There are some reasons for it to be not mild. If I claim that Dove is mild, that means normal soaps are not mild. Why is it not mild? That means it has a potential to do something wrong on the skin. What is that? Again, from a very simple concept, look at how it came. So, the skin requires something which is like skin, right? Skin maintains a particular pH, which is close to normal, but slightly acidic. It like that. Skin is the material through which body, knocks out some toxic stuff in the form of perspiration. There are some oils and other things also. For its own integrity in skin, the outermost layer, etc., it has a layer of lipids. Yeah. So outermost layer of skin is nothing but a combination of a protein called keratin and some lipids. Lipids are also like fats. Yeah. So when you use soap, soaps are salts of what? Salts of fatty acid. Fatty acids are weak acids because they are carboxylic acids. The salts here it is sodium potassium salts. The sodium and potassium is coming from the corresponding alkali, which is sodium hydroxide, potassium hydroxide. They are caustic alkalis, they are strong alkalis. So soap is nothing but a salt of strong alkali and a weak acid, right? So if you have a salt of weak acid and a strong alkali, it is supposed to undergo a process called hydrolysis. And if you put a pH paper there, litmus paper there, it will turn your red litmus blue. It will always be alkaline because of hydrolysis. So a soap solution is always alkaline, right? So go home and make one soap solution, put any pH paper there, it will show you the color that it shows in presence of excess. Alkali is known to emulsify oil. That's why soap cleans. But because our skin cells also have some lipid, if you have prolonged exposure to soap, you put your hand in concentrated soap solution and use it for a long time, you will see the skin will be not like skin. It will undergo some decomposition. Yeah. It will first of all it will turn very dry, and dried skin is not the best of skin. Skin requires a little bit of oil on top of it always, right? And that actually helps in also moisturizing it. That's why people use moisturizer. They don't they don't like dry skin any, right? So I need to find out a solution for soap, which means I am not liking this property of soap, which is a salt of weak acid and strong base. I need to develop a new soap like Dove. How am I doing it? That is, how did Unilever crack this problem? And let me tell you, this is this question that was asked. Soap is a salt of weak acid and strong base. So how do I make something which is not the salt of weak acid and salt? Because weak acid and salt is always will give alkaline solution, which will not be good for skin. And that's why it is a little harsh. It is not the mildest. So how it can be made? What is the answer? The answer is, of course, you have to find out the neutral pH alternative, right? I don't want a salt of weak acid and strong base. I need a salt of strong acid and strong base. Then only I will be able to sell. But soaps have carboxylic acid, so weak base. So how do I get a corresponding strong acid? Which strong acid can give us a property like a fatty acid? That is the question that needs to be asked. Yeah. So that is the solution. If you look at the advertisement of Dove, you see, it says or formula is different. It does not dry your skin like ordinary soap and stuff like that. This is a fact. If this is not a fact, you cannot put this label on your business. You'll be taken to court by your competitor. And there are big competitors, Procter and Gamble, big competitor. They will take them to court and ask for use for compensation, and you lose your business totally. So this is a fact. How did we solve it? Again, by a very simple. This equation is very familiar to you. Most of you have seen this equation in your physical chemistry. I spoke about a little bit of inorganic chemistry for acids and alkalis. I spoke about a little bit of organic chemistry for this textile dyes, and now a little bit of physical chemistry for soaps. So consider a weak acid. I'm written HA. These days, of course, of standard textbooks writes H3O plus. I mean, it's simple, H plus A minus, right? So if it is a weak acid, of course, you have the equilibrium constant Ka, which is nothing but the concentration of the product, multiplication of that divided by the concentration of multiples of the reactant. So H plus concentration multiplied by A minus concentration divided by H. The stronger the acid, more will be dissociation. So more of H plus and A minus, and therefore this Ka value will be large. If Ka value is large, we have defined another parameter called pKa. By definition, it is negative logarithm of Ka. If Ka is large, its logarithm also is large. If you take negative, then it is low. So higher the strength, higher the Ka, lower is the pKa, right? So if I need stronger acid, I need an acid with lower pKa. Lower pKa than I get for the carboxylic acid, the fatty acid. So what are the fatty acids pKa's? I'm giving a chart. The first one is acetic acid. You see, all standard textbooks of physical chemistry will give this value. pKa for acetic acid is 4.74. In fact, there are numerical problems that you probably try to solve. What is the concentration if I tell you the pH is this and stuff like that, right? And you use different equations there also. This Henderson equation, very popular equation, stuff like that. So if you increase the number of carbon atoms in this chain, so from acetic to propionic to butyric to whatever acids, you see the pKa number does not change. It is 4.73, 4.8, 4.82 like that. So it's very cosmetic increase in number, but largely it is 4.8, you can say. Whereas the corresponding sulfonic acid, the pKa is very low, -2, very low. And why is that? If you ask yourself, why carboxylic acids are weak acids and sulfonic acids are stronger acids? Because sulfonic acid, if you look at the structure, it has 2 oxygen double bonded to sulfur. Right? So when you try to generate this corresponding base, or if you look at even the structure, an acid is stronger when this OH bond is more labile. That's how the H plus ion goes. OH bond labile means what? This electron will be taken over by this oxygen. So this will be pulled by this. So if you move your electron here, because this electron is pulled by the oxygen will pull this electron, and this will be again pulled here. So you will see RCO minus there. Here you can do it by at least 2 different ways. You will have more of the canonical structures for sulfonate than for the carboxylates, and that gives the extra stability of the corresponding sulfonate ion, and that's why sulfonic acids are the stronger acids. The OH group is much more labile for sulfonic acid. So instead of carboxylic acid, if you take the corresponding sulfonic acid and make a salt of sodium or potassium, you crack this. You get what we now call as Dove soup. It's such a simple thing, but Unilever makes tons of money, by selling this Dove soup. And because we have patented it so much, there is no competition here. All sorts of strong acids, which is available under the earth, has been patented by Unilever, and therefore there is no competition now. So, so this is what it is used. Corresponding, so a fatty sulfonic acid is not really easy to make. So therefore, we take the same fatty acid, carboxylic acid, but we make an ester with the corresponding sulfonic acid. So this is just an ester of that. But eventual hanging group is the sulfonate group, and the corresponding sodium salt is what is used. So lauryl is ethionate, is what it is called. this sodium salt is the active principle in Dove's. Simple thing. So I have given you 3 quizzes of 3 simple questions, and this is done by us Unilever scientists in Unilever, which helped Unilever also to make big money. Yeah. So what I have a lot of more slides, but I don't have time. So my last submission to all of you is that when you read chemistry, study it well. You try to find out something there, and look around. What is the problem that the society is facing today? What is this thing? There are, things like something is catching dust too much. Can I make it dust free by knowing, what is what can be a particular solution from my own textbook knowledge? You can start your business, and the company can become very, very big. Yeah. Just to give one a problem, I will give one problem to you. So try to solve this. There are solutions, but in your bathroom when you go, you see this picture or in here, right? The shower will look dirty because Bangalore water is hard water. There are depositions of things like here, yeah, on the taps, on the mixer, and all these things, even on the floors and walls, there will be such depositions. These are called scales. I like to tell you, these are nothing but deposition of calcium carbonate. So how can you provide a solution for this? Any solution is fine, but I am saying today, you don't have a particular robust solution. That's why we see bathrooms like this. I have my own bathroom, which is like this. I took picture from my own bathroom. Okay, so this is what it is. And I am giving you as a challenge. You solve this problem, you become another Unilever in course of time. Thank you very much. Any question you may have, if I have in 1 minute.
Girls? Yes.
Right.
Sir, I have a small question. In the previous slide, you said that there's a numerical equation PV equals nRT, and then after this P and before and after this PV equals nRT formula was found out, a few scientists found out the gases like oxygen, carbon dioxide, nitrogen. So how was the PV nRT used before that time when these gases were found? Did people that time the people know that gases were really there, or they consider this PVNRT for some other chemical equation during that time? Because we usually use this to calculate for gas molar constants.
Right. See, look at it. What was the basic purpose? The science's purpose was not really to develop more science. Science's purpose was largely to, bridge the gap for the need that science has, and the knowledge. Right? We generate knowledge in order to make what we need. Now there are so many things as need. I think also was one. So they need more and more weapons, stuff like that. We need food. We need so many things. Like just to give you one example, I didn't mention this. I just simply said that. Yeah. So while trying to give you the example of using ammonia, I didn't mention about the importance of ammonia later. Yeah, ammonia was not very easy to make, but the making of ammonia again changed humanity. The scientists who developed the best methods for ammonia, the catalytic method for ammonia, was again from nitrogen and hydrogen, the nitrogen coming from air. So for this, we needed to know what is present in air, right? EV is equal to nRT is by which you can explain properties of the gas. There are equivalent things which also got developed later on, which was almost like PV is equal to nRT in the area of liquids. the scientist developed that in the course of his studies for liquids for a phenomenon called osmosis, which is by Hantoff, who got the first Nobel Prize. Then also is the pi equal to CRT, right? The same as CV equal to the pi is nothing but again, pressure by per mole, right there. So what is possible with liquids is also possible with gases. So we need to know that air is also a resource, and there are several things which are present there. If we know that, I can try to exploit air for my benefit, right? So Fritz Haber was the scientist who developed the process for ammonia by taking this nitrogen from air. And because he developed this ammonia, and from that process, eventually we are making these tons of ammonium salts as fertilizers. All these nitrogen fertilizers, including urea and ammonium salts, is possible because somebody, Fritz Haber, which also is early 20th century, developed the process for exploiting the knowledge that air contains nitrogen, and therefore we can use this nitrogen for developing something which is required for the plants to grow. And that's why even after famine and all these things, at that time the world population was something like 2 billion or something. Today it is 4 times in last less than 100 years. So all this population explosion has been possible thanks to that understanding that air contains nitrogen, and that nitrogen I can exploit for making fertilizer, which will be required for plant growth and the human beings in. Does it answer your question, or you have something more than that? Of course, if PV is equal to energy is not, it is for ideal gas, and there are these van der Waals and other things. Other people looked at that and further defined.
But it can also be used for like, it was also used that time for liquids. And thank you, sir. You kind of answered my question.
Yeah, liquids development was in late 19th century by 4 scientists. They are called ionists. So these are the gangs of physical chemists who made physical chemistry strong. Ionic equilibrium related to 4 scientists. There is Hantoff, there is Arrhenius, there is Oswald, and there is Nernst. Yeah. So if you look at the biography of those, it's very interesting. They are called the gang of physical chemists. Anybody who will oppose them, they will shoot them apart. In fact, one of the scientists did oppose them. His name is he is another great scientist who discovered, or rather who found out as pioneers for periodic table, and his name is Mendeleev. Mendeleev opposed Arrhenius dissociation theory, and because of that, Arrhenius, who was part of the Nobel Committee, he deprived Mendeleev from getting Nobel. So there are interesting things. Yes.
Thank you, sir.
Some more questions. The golden chance. Sir is so knowledgeable, so good, so much experience. Please ask questions. You will never get this golden chance again. Please.
Yeah, from soap to soup, anything.
That still they make soaps here, like glass, that practical.
One thing I'll tell you, even many scientists who work in laboratories and publish papers and all these things, they don't know that we use so many very simple chemicals for making products. If I tell you that, Colgate or Pepsodent, the white toothpaste, about half of it is nothing but chalk. And people think, is it so? You are fooling us. No, we don't fool you. It is chalk. Chalk is the abrasive, which is the best one. If I use more powerful abrasive, the enamel will go. And if I use less abrasive materials like normal, other things which are very soft, then the tooth will not be clean. So this is the best one for that. The same chalk that we use for writing on blackboards and stuff like that is also used for making toothpaste. Yeah, some of you may be hearing it for the first time. Yeah, ask any question. if you have. But the expectation is, being chemists or students of chemistry, you should be able to take care of your homes at least. If not start a company. So suppose your home doesn't have good quality water because of whatsoever reason, you know how to purify water. There are so many processes. We have learned about distillation, filtration, this, that, all sorts of osmosis. So you should develop your own solution for home. And if you can do it for home, you can probably do it for your alma mater, with university. So let me make something for you. Like that. It will do all of these things.
Good morning, sir. How did you get into Unilever?
How did I get into Unilever? Simple process. Big story, but just to make it short. I'm from West Bengal. In West Bengal, there is no industry, right? Even at our point of time, also there was no industry. There is nothing today now. But then I was doing my PhD. Generally, after PhD, people look for opportunities for postdoc and stuff like that. But my story is slightly different. I got married, and then I suddenly, realized that I'm going to be a father soon. But I was unemployed. So my friends forced me to look for jobs. Hey, guy, what are you doing here? An unmarried husband is still acceptable, but unmarried father, nobody. Nobody will look at you with any respect. You cannot be. So you should look for jobs. So I look for jobs in West Bengal. Of course, in those days, newspapers are local newspapers. But in local newspapers, there is no industry, so therefore there is no job. Only job is for school. And my father also wanted me to be a school teacher. But even for school teacher, you have to be some party member, you have to work for the party, politics is there. That is it. I don't want to pollute your mind with that. So I looked for job. I saw an advertisement in Times of India. I applied. Thankfully, after the interview, I got the job. That was a boring thing. So you have to look for opportunities, and it's a simple thing. It's not. So before my son was born, I thankfully got the job. So my wife said that she got that.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir, our question I can further answer, but we have taken some girls to do project in Unilever, our MSc students.
Yes.
And joined for MSc, we take you for project to Unilever, and they have been offered jobs.
Excellent. Excellent.
So this is a direct question for you. Answer.
Yeah. So best thing is, when I say look for opportunities, I look for opportunity for a job because I was desperate. But you can look for opportunities for internship, and there are so many other things. Yeah. So find out somebody from Unilever, express your interest, and ask questions. Just like I'm asking you to ask me questions. You also ask them what are they doing first of all. How I can also do similar things. Because eventually research is nothing but doing a few practical experiments that you do in your technical classes. It's the same thing, just like your deep separators and those kind of things also they have in all laboratories. Things like that. It's just people think that experimental results come out from machines. It is not. It's the idea that gives. Right? If you have good idea, you will get good answers. Yeah.
So this is just an observation. Nowadays, we find that a lot of students are more inclined to do subjects like, microbiology or biotechnology. Generally, the idea is that chemistry is a very tough subject and it's very difficult. And
Was it difficult, whatever I said? Anything? No?
What would be your take on this? Like, would you think that there are more opportunities in chemistry, or would you think that there are other areas of science where you have more opportunities? So generally, the idea, the feeling is that biotechnology is an area where you have a lot of opportunities. The careers would be better in that field. Your observation.
Okay. Very good question. Thing is, as I said, I gave examples from the past. And that's why it looks so simple. Of course, these days, with this knowledge, it may not be sufficient, right? With time, you get more and more information. You analyze that information, it becomes a knowledge. You assimilate that knowledge, it becomes your realization. But just like, science first started by observing things like movement of stars and all these things. That's why astronomy is probably the first science that got developed. And then people got interested in, materials because they needed to kill animals to survive or grow plants for their own survival or, make some foods so that you have to cook. So therefore, some semblance of chemistry got developed. Afterwards, they started understanding nature and things like that. So physics also got developed and stuff like that. And biology, of course, started developing much, much later because life is such a complicated system. We still don't understand what exactly is the wretched thing called life, right? Everybody is trying to understand life for two purposes. One is to understand it, and number two is to give it comfort, right? So therefore, all the divisions of science, they are now trying to interface with biology, life. Can I try to understand or apply my knowledge on chemistry for understanding life? That is biochemistry. Can I apply my knowledge on physics on biology for understanding life? That is biophysics. So similarly, you add bio to any other discipline, so that is the interface. And because we are doing like that, a lot of more information is getting generated, and we are getting into a stage where it is possible to know more and more things about life, how it evolves, how we can generate cells and tissues and stuff, or prevent diseases or cure diseases and stuff like that. So therefore, modern science is all largely developing at the interfaces. It is being almost accepted that chemistry has matured as a field, or physics has matured as a field. So try to either understand life, which is a big question mark, or try to understand the universe, which is another big universe. So physics is looking at what is there, beyond the solar system or whatever, this universe, how big is the universe, because again, the purpose is, if I know that, is it possible to harvest some form of energy from somewhere, some cosmic something, which I can utilize for doing something. Today, we are trying to harvest solar energy for, I'm saying, say for giving us light, right? So solar power, or for purifying water and stuff like that. So similarly, as you say, if I can understand the microorganism, bacteria, I can exploit it, because bacteria for its own survival has grown it to its present level, right? And so when we say fermentation, it is some bacteria which releases some enzymes which converts sugar into alcohols. Now, I can try to develop the enzyme, or I can try to use this whole bacteria itself to make my alcohol, right? So when I try to use this bacteria itself, it becomes biotechnology. When I try to use the catalyst, the enzymes, it becomes chemistry, right? So it is much easier to know about the bacteria or its colony and directly use them for that. And while you do that, you see the properties of the bacteria changes from one to other, or there are different kinds of bacteria. And since some of the bacteria also are causing you diseases, right? And that's why we need these antibiotics to kill these things. Again, when you try to kill the bacteria, you have this phenomenon called resistant bacteria. So antibiotics also is facing this problem. If you misuse or abuse antibiotics, you get new strains of bacteria which are resistant. So again, you go on studying those things. And that's how these are the fields which are becoming more and more prominent. And the moment something is emerging, there is more jobs there. Just like IT, just like infotech, just like this new age things like artificial intelligence, machine learning, and all these things. So these are what we call as the new age opportunities. Whereas traditional physics, traditional chemistry, etc., they are the backbone of things. They are much more mature. I mean, one should not bother too much about these things. If you really like chemistry, then anything is fine. But if you're not sure where I should go, then look for opportunities where there are more opportunities there, stuff like that. I don't again understand, or I'm not very sure whether that really answers your questions. But that's the traditional thought process is. Today, bulk of the best quality papers are published in journals like Nature, Science, etc. You see small paper. The paper may be 1 page. The list of author is half page. Okay, there is a global collaboration of people. Each one has a different expertise. Somebody can be some physicist, some mathematician, some statistician, some machine learning, some computer scientist. All sorts of people are collaborating together to solve more and more difficult problems. Because with time, as we increase our knowledge base, things would certainly become more and more difficult. And to address that, you need interfaces to this problem. A physicist must understand what is chemistry. A chemist must understand what is physics. And both of them should understand what is engineering and stuff like that. Then only you make something which is out of the world, which is cutting edge, which is new discovery. New discovery has its own value, but again, that will not make chemistry redundant, is what I wish to believe. We still have, because this problem will not require only that many scientists to solve. That is possible by simple chemistry.
Good morning, sir. So I consider charcoal to be a very important substance, but medically it's proven that repeated use of charcoal is hazardous to health. Now, as a chemist, what is your opinion on charcoal being used for regular substances like toothpaste?
There are, you have to be careful when you say good for something or bad for something. I tell you what is the definition normally used in certain products which are marketed by reputed manufacturers. When you say charcoal containing toothpaste or things like that, the definition is, all the chemicals are termed as toxic. Yeah, and that includes water. Water, if it is misused, it can cause death. Yeah, and that's why people drown in rivers and ponds and die, because water goes to the wrong place, right? If water goes to the lungs, you die. Water goes to the stomach, you require water to go to stomach. So wherever anything needs to go, if it goes, there is no problem. But there again, to what extent should it go? So there are two things. One is where it should go, and what is the permissible limit by which it can go so that it can be termed as safe. Right? Another material, salt. You'll be surprised to know that there was a time when people used salt to kill newborn babies if they were unwanted. It's a tragic thing, but they used, not knowingly, the properties of osmosis. If you put large amount of electrolyte solution or solid in around a cell, it will undergo osmosis. So therefore, the cells will dry, it will come out. But you need to know, therefore, to what extent do I need that salt? You go and take a dip in ocean. Ocean has 3.5% of salt. You don't die. So 3.5% of salt is safe. The moment it becomes like 20%, it is unsafe. So therefore, the question is, yes, charcoal can be bad, but charcoal is normally bad when it is inhaled. It goes to lungs. If it goes to stomach, it is not that much of a problem. And certainly in a toothpaste, you don't have as much charcoal as would be required to cause any significant damage.
Sir, I get your point. I understand, but reviews, most of the people who use the toothpaste, they say that their enamel wears off after using the charcoal, even though it's in limits. So don't you think we should stop using charcoal itself?
Yeah, there are, so new and new information may come. People normally look at all possible, ways to make it safe. In fact, that's why many of the things that we used to work on does not get to the market immediately. It takes years of research on safety. Particularly one of the emerging areas, it's called nanomaterials. We still don't know the safety of nanomaterials. And that's why I left my company 4 years back. I have 66 patents, which means 66 inventions. There are 4 or 5 things which are there in market. The bulk of the other things are still undergoing safety tests and stuff like that. So once you find that they are not safe, they will not be put in the market. That is one. Once you understand that they are not safe, they can be withdrawn from the market. That is number 2. And when you say safety, there are also safety at different points. Is it safety for the consumers, those who will be using it? It should be safe for the manufacturers. The largest amount of problem could happen in the factory itself. Those who are handling large quantities of, say, charcoal powder, right? So typically, if you visit a factory, the standard instruction could be, so this is a vessel, which is the reactant in which I will take my other ingredients of toothpaste, and you dump maybe a bag full or a sack full of charcoal powder there. So when the person dump that sack full, there is a high chance that the sack full of charcoal from there, some will start flying and he can inhale. That is not a good thing. That then he can be subjected to this kind of things. So typically, so to prevent that, there are many steps which are taken to ensure the safety. So there are steps like it cannot be done manually. You have to put it on a conveyor belt. The conveyor belt will carry this thing and dump it mechanically in the large reactor. And so these are, I would say, an evolving area. This will continuously go. We will never know full history about whether something is absolutely safe or not. Even things like, say, when we introduce these vaccines, there are limited studies which are done. Now, typically, for a medicine to be available in a market, one high requirement is that there has to be several stages of toxicity studies that includes things like genotoxicity. What would happen in the next generation or next to next generation? Could there be an effect which is not immediate, but there could be change in the DNA, something? So is it possible that this person will deliver babies who can have a genetic defect, or if not in the next generation, next to next? So there are things like that of various kinds, neurotoxicity, xenotoxicity, other kinds of. What we are asking is immediate effect. So there are immediate effects, there are not so immediate effects. One has to be very stringent about such studies before putting anything in the market. And I'm sure these things are being addressed at different levels. So, so to answer your question, yes, there could be potential dangers there, and the companies will take all precautionary effects so that this does not really make a mess of anybody's health. So, and third thing was, of course, the health of the environment. Today it is becoming more and more stringent. You cannot use any process in a factory which is not good for the environment. You cannot dump that calcium sulfide today. The example that I give, it is not allowed. The pollution control board will catch you. It will withhold your permission. The factory will be closed. No question asked. Till you give their approval that yes, this process is safe for the employees, for the consumers, and for the environment. These are the levels of.
Thank you, sir.
Sir, I think now no more questions.
Okay, thank you.
Good afternoon, one and all present here. I'm here to propose the vote of thanks. Gratitude is not only the greatest of virtues, but the parent of all others. On behalf of the Department of Chemistry and Biochemistry, Jyotinivas College Autonomous, I feel honored to propose the vote of thanks on this occasion. I would like to thank our principal, Dr. Sister Lalita Thomas, for her encouragement and support in conducting today's seminar. I also thank Dr. Sitavi, principal, to be with us today in midst of her busy schedule. Thank you, ma'am. I extend my heartfelt gratitude to our first speaker, Dr. C. Ramkumar, MOE, Innovation Ambassador, Associate Professor, Dr. NGP Institute of Technology, Coimbatore. Sir, your talk was very informative and interesting. The knowledge that you shared on innovative ideas of bioprinting, bio-ink, 3D printing, nanorobots was very impressive. Your emphasis on the importance of biochemistry as the future science for solving many challenges faced by the healthcare sectors was very inspiring. Thank you, sir, for creating an awareness about the various job opportunities available for our chemistry and biochemistry students. We hope to collaborate with you, sir, for your valuable suggestions for research projects for our faculty and students. Thank you, sir. With great pleasure, I'd like to express my sincere thanks to Dr. Amitava Pramanik, Head, Seed Division Innovation Center, Indian Institute of Science, Bengaluru. Thank you, sir, for taking us through the journey on the history of chemistry from ancient times to the modern era. Sir, your extensive knowledge on the contributions of scientists and their major discoveries in chemistry was very informative and interesting. Your detailed explanation on the invention for a new process for preparation of sodium carbonate and the first synthetic dye, Morphine discovery, and the new invention of the Dove soap was very interesting and motivating. I am sure our students will be motivated to develop new innovative ideas to solve existing challenges faced by industrial sectors. Looking forward for your valuable cooperation in future. Thank you, sir. My heartfelt thanks to Mr. Praveen and Mr. Richard for their technical support. I thank all the students present here for their active participation. With these warm words and a kind message, we conclude today's seminar. Thank you, one and all.